Hello, welcome to another video. This is a bit of an unusual one. I recently got my dream commission. I got to design a comic book cover for a major American comic book publisher, Oni Press, and in this video I'm going to talk about the whole process from beginning to end. So grab yourself a nice cup of tea and sit back and let's talk about making comic book covers. Let's go! So how did this all happen? Well, seemingly out of the blue, a very nice editor at Oni Press got in touch, Bess, who'd seen some of my map videos and kind of enjoyed them, said some very nice things about them, and asked if I'd be interested in doing a cover for them. And the comic book they wanted me to do a cover for is a book called The Autumn Kingdom, which is phenomenal. I'm not going to show a lot of artwork from it because it's not mine to show. But yeah, think Labyrinth meets Hellboy meets Pan's Labyrinth. Absolutely amazing. I highly recommend picking up a copy of Volume 1. Stunning artwork, brilliant writing. What's not to like? Brilliant stuff. Anyway, once we'd had a chat and we'd agreed deadlines and fees and all that kind of stuff, which I won't go into here, Bess very kindly sent me a really well done kind of brief with what she wanted for the cover. Now, normally when I get a brief from a client, it's nowhere near as detailed as this. Often it's very, very vague. And I always like a detailed brief. So she listed all the things she wanted me to put in there. And I highlighted the ones I thought were most important. And I sort of got to it. So before I got to it, though, there are some things you've got to consider. So I was sent over a template for what the cover would look like. And I'll go through what all that stuff is. So all that area in the middle that's blue, that's the important area. So that's where your art needs to happen, essentially. But you have to take into account where the title is, any text, the barcode, because your art is going to get completely covered up by all of that. So this is a good kind of thing if you're not familiar with taking on a brief from a client. So your art has to also go all the way across into that kind of pinkish area, which is called the bleeds. The artwork has to bleed across the whole kind of cover. And that bleed line that's pretty much outside the image, so nobody's going to see it. So you don't want anything important there. There's also a fold line on a comic book cover. So yes, your artwork has to, in this case, because I was doing a front and back cover, my artwork had to go all the way across. I couldn't put anything super important and vital in that area because it might get lost in the fold. Likewise, that kind of white area outside the blue part, that's an area that's right on the edge, so that might get cut off by a guillotine, so nothing important in that area. And you'll see the text doesn't go into that area either because that's important information. So yeah, this is kind of the template, really helpful to work on. So I got to work creating what was essentially one of my maps as the cover. Now, I did a couple of thumbnails, but I'm not going to show them because they're awful, and they're only really readable by me, but it got me to where I needed to go. So I then produced a pencil rough. Now, I will preface this, I don't normally show my roughs here, but my roughs are rough. And this was just kind of what the front cover, which is on the right, and the back cover would look like, trying to include all the elements that Bess had wanted. And including the various kind of plot points within this particular issue, but also she wanted a lot from the previous volume on there. So yeah, my roughs are rough. So when I sent it to Bess for feedback, I sent it in context, so I showed it what it would look like as the cover. She was very kind. We had a little bit of back and forth. She was quite happy with it. So then I scanned it in, printed it out, and I need to get this onto a new kind of piece of paper. So to do this, I scribble all over the back of it, not the original rough, the newish one, with a I think it's a 3B pencil I use, and that's pretty much acts as like carbon paper. So then if I go over that with a biro, you can kind of see what happens. So I'm going over particular elements of the cover here. And there you go, I get kind of a transfer. Now, really importantly, I'm not looking for detail here at all. This is all about just getting that composition down that I'm happy with doing. And once I've done it all, I get to remove the, I'm just doing a last bit there by the looks of it, and I remove it, and you can just about see I've now got the image transferred kind of nicely on the back of onto this new kind of slightly thicker piece of paper that I can go in. And now normally if deadlines are really tight, I would go straight in with a pen to do the ink work, but because I had a little bit of time and I was a little bit nervous about this. This is a big deal for me. I'd kind of always wanted to work in comics, so it really was a bit of a dream come true. I penciled everything again just to make sure I knew exactly what was going on. I made a couple of minor changes here, like just a few little things with the poses of characters that were maybe repeated on the back to the front, and particularly this character, originally her sword was raised, so I decided to not raise it because it was raised on the front cover. And then it was just a case of drawing it all out, so I had good clean line work. So that's all I'm after at this point. I'm not interested in shading, just after clean line work. I have to say there are some amazing creatures in this comic. There's like this lion centipede creature which I could draw over and over and over again because it is so weird and so cool. But yeah, really enjoyed that creature. Weird vulture thing as well that you'll see on the front cover. That was good fun too. And yeah, all sorts of weird creatures in this, so definitely check it out for that. It's so cool if you like monsters like I do. And then just making sure I'm getting the details in. The trick with this was trying to kind of adhere to the character designs in the comic, but also make it kind of my own in my own style. So kind of thinking about what these characters look like and then how to work within my style. And then that's essentially it. I get a nice clean kind of very line complicated, it looks complicated, but I haven't got detail in it. That's the important thing. I've just got basic shapes of where things are going to go. And yeah, that's probably the hardest part. This is the part I find the toughest, is getting that line work done. Even when I'm doing the mini maps there, the line work is what takes the time. Once I move into the inking, that's the fun part for me, because I can kind of turn my brain off a little bit and have a bit of fun. So yeah, speaking of, now we get into the inking part. And this was so much fun because there was so much in this. It was such good fun. I literally just put a load of music on and just went to town with it and didn't worry too much. Probably did worry a bit because, you know, this is kind of my first kind of comic book commission and I really wanted to get it right. But yeah, I was genuinely quite pleased with how this process went. Really kind of got to take my time with it. Forgot the camera was rolling most of the time. So yeah, you know, that's essentially how it happened, and just trying to keep my line work clean. I'm not worrying about anything getting in the way and just trying to make things stand out. So in the original line work, I obviously didn't have any areas of great big blacks or shadows, so it was kind of fun to put them in and work out where they should go and what they should be communicating. But yeah, you know, it was really, really good fun to do. And this is such a cool story as well. You know, the whole comic book is right up my street. It's kind of fantasy. It's got heroics. It's got drama. It's got quite almost horror-like elements in it as well, which is super cool. And yeah, just trying to keep the perspective of like a map going on, particularly on the back cover. But yeah, so yeah, just filling this in as I go, taking my time, making sure everything's okay. One of the things you can do, because I mean most of you will be familiar with the way that I work, is my next step after this is to take it into the computer and fix any mistakes that I make. So you can take a lot of pressure off yourself by just accepting that you probably will make a mistake, but it's okay to kind of fix it. And yeah, it was kind of interesting how certain things worked really well in the line work, and I wasn't sure how they'd turn out once I'd put the kind of shadows in there. particularly this vulture, the wing and the character. I was quite worried about how that was going to turn out, and I tried a few different ways of kind of doing the feathers, and you'll see that what I'm inking here is actually quite different to how they kind of turned out. I really didn't want to draw kind of lots of detailed marks in the feathers because it's quite a busy image anyway, so I kind of wanted those areas of black, but I still wanted a little bit of texture in there. So you'll see what I end up doing in the end. It's not a million miles away from this, so it wasn't a huge stretch, but yeah. And yeah, my constant pain in my life is remembering to move the camera when I move my hand. I'm not very good at getting there, but I do remember now and again. But yeah, just putting all those different kind of textures when you've got kind of like the stark blacks and then kind of this fur texture I had for the vulture. It really starts to come to life a little bit. And yeah, just putting all those gnarly little kind of scrunches and skin textures on it. It was such a cool creature. Really genuinely loved all the weird monsters in this. Because yeah, and it was so nice to kind of adapt somebody else's design. You know, that was really fun for me. It's not something I get to do very often. Normally I have to come up with everything myself, which I love. It's fantastic, but it's a completely different kind of thing to sort of think, okay, well, this is how this thing looks, but how does that look in the way that I do things with the rules I've set out with my art style, you know? So really, really good fun with that. And yeah, just kind of seeing everything come together with the shadows and everything. It starts to take that very busy line work and kind of calms it down a little bit. You know, really, really kind of gets in there. In terms of time scale, I did the rough took a day by the time I'd worked it all out, and then I did all the kind of line work and the inking in another day. So and the colour I think was about half a day. So about 2.5 days on this, which isn't too bad. But yeah, absolute joy working on this. And there's these weird little kind of goblins in it that are so creepy. They're just these silhouetted like figures. They're really cool, and they're kind of everywhere. And you'll see them more on the front cover, but like they cause chaos, and they're brilliant antagonists for the heroines in this story, which is great. And this lion centipede thing, oh, it's just the coolest thing. Honestly, I could draw this thing 10 times over, because the way it kind of coils around, and it has all these kind of legs, but it's got a lion's head, so it's got kind of a mane as well. It's so much fun to draw, you know. I genuinely hope if I get another opportunity to do a cover, I hope it involves the lion centipede thing, because that thing was amazing. And it has a rider too, so it's kind of it's extra cool, you know. Yeah, I really dig this kind of thing. It's so much fun, and again, putting all that fun kind of horrible wormy skin texture in there, and kind of making it stand out. So I use quite stark shadows just to make my kind of shapes stand out, really. So anytime I've got an awful lot of detail, I'll either leave an area kind of blank, or I will colour it in shadow just to make it kind of pop out a little bit. It's a little trick that I do. And yeah, just having this kind of knobbly spine, which wasn't as emphasised in the original creature's design, but I kind of really liked it. It kind of gave me kind of an anchor point when I was drawing this thing kind of coiled up around the bottom of the back page. Yeah, genuinely absolutely loved drawing that thing. And we're back to the little goblins again. So they kind of just raid everything, from what I can tell. They're proper agents of chaos. It's you know, it's really good fun. And then we've got our two protagonists facing off against the lion centipede monster thing. And then we've got one of our other protagonists, who is a proper badass with a great big kind of always kind of slightly flaming swords, which is cool. And there's a scene in the book how she kind of takes up one of those swords, and I won't ruin it, but yeah, it's really cool, really cool. And yeah, I think we're very nearly done with the back cover. I think I started with the back cover because I was still, a little bit nervous, and I didn't. If I was going to make any big mistakes, or if I was going to loosen up a bit, I'd do it all on the back cover, so I wouldn't have the pressure. And one of the things I decided to do was kind of separate the two covers, because originally I thought I'd do two separate kind of colour schemes, which I do, with this tree, which is kind of part of the story. There's kind of an entrance into the Autumn Kingdom through this portal in the tree, and I kind of thought, well, if I put that half and half on the spine, it's not a super important aspect of the cover, but it separates the two kind of volumes up, if you like, and it was great fun doing this tree, adding all the mushrooms and toadstools and gnarly bark and weird textures. It was really good. I don't think it stands out as much in this inked version, but when I added the 3 tones of grey and the colour, it kind of really does do its job really well. And yeah. And then we got kind of this guy at the bottom, which I kind of avoided filling in for ages, because I think he might be, I enjoyed the lion centipede thing, but this guy might be my favourite. He's kind of the Fey King, and he looks kind of like an undead kind of zombie thing, or at least that's certainly how I emphasised his features. But yeah, he was a lot of fun to draw as well, really cool kind of antagonist-like character there, on his throne, of his kind of rocky throne that he sits in with his great big sword. And he was just kind of a nice kind of detail to put at the bottom, even though he's not part of this particular issue. He was part of the previous volume, and he does go onto the front cover a little bit. It was kind of a nice kind of break to kind of have a character like that on the front cover, so he kind of bled over a little bit. And he kind of, where he's based, there's all these kind of giant kind of skulls, so I kind of put them on the cliff below, with the idea of kind of lighting them in kind of a strange way. So yeah, I really didn't plan too much about how I was lighting everything. I was thinking in terms of colours more than anything else, which is not something I normally do. I normally think in terms of light, how I'm going to light something. But yeah, so those little kind of dots are these kind of eerie kind of ghost-light things, and I thought they might be a good pop of light, so I could kind of bounce the light off a few things, and yeah, they kind of work pretty well. I think I drew too many of them here, so I do end up cutting a few of them out when I go to fix it on the computer, which you'll see fairly soon. But yeah, kind of seeing how it all kind of comes together is really nice. And a big part of this issue takes place on kind of a giant mushroom, which is so cool. And this troll is just getting kicked off by one of the protagonists. Yeah, he was kind of, I didn't really want him to be the focal point, but he did have to be fairly detailed, and he kind of makes us a nice kind of I don't know, like a break between the kind of avenging character and the two young girls, because their stories are they kind of overlap a few times, but they don't really appear together at all in the comic so far. So I kind of wanted to create that kind of, I don't know, that kind of little narrative thing. And she was great fun to draw with her great big swords, and just trying to make her stand out a little bit. And I thought I'd do that mostly with the kind of weird steam that comes off her swords. And yeah, just trying to think about how to actually tie everything together without it becoming too busy, because there's a lot going on here. And then we've got our main characters, with the really cool but very weird sword that's kind of got a rock attached to it. I just think it's really cool. It's an interesting design that I don't think I would have come up with, but I really like it. So trying to do that in my way of doing things was always good fun. And then her younger sister there, kind of making sure they both kind of really are the focal point of the cover, while still on a big mushroom. And yeah, this great big vulture thing behind them. Oh, just filling in some of the cliff. So this was the kind of aspect that I wanted to keep, trying to make it look like we were still in kind of an isometric kind of map with the mushroom kind of shooting up. And we got that goblin behind. What's going on? And then just filling in some details with the tree. I was really avoiding doing those goblins because I knew it was gonna try my patience a little bit, because it's a big dark area. And then the vulture, which was also a ton of fun to do, so I added all these kind of gnarly details and things to this kind of weird quasi vulture, pterodactyl, giant eagle type monster, which was a lot of fun to do. I really love just doing monsters. It is so much fun. Don't get me wrong, I love doing maps and things like that and RPG things, but I think it's monsters that I love. And maybe it's because all of those kind of things involve monsters in some way. And yeah, a really important thing here is getting that texture in, so it's a different texture to what will be the goblins, and just trying to get kind of just the most basic texture imaginable for the mushroom in the background, really, because I don't want it to interfere with anything. It's really just there to separate things up a little bit. Alright, and now I bite the bullet and I do this big mass of goblins, because that kind of fills in where the title is nicely. So it allows the title and logos at the top of the cover to really shine through, because that's the important thing to remember when you're doing these things. Your artwork is doing a job. It's not just telling a story or trying to entice somebody to read said story. It also has to highlight the vital information, like the title and the authors and things like that. So it's always important to consider how your image is going to impact these things. And that's kind of why we did the template thing at the beginning. And that's not just a comic book thing, that's just any illustration thing, really. So that's really important. And then it's just a case of trying not to get super lost in what's going on. So I've got that rider on the vulture, and again I changed the way I did these wings in the end, but not too much. I think I pretty much stuck to it. And then the big fat smelly pen. You all know how much I love this big fat smelly pen. I think this is a brand new big fat smelly pen for this one. So just colouring all that in. I knew I was going to add eyes and stuff, but I thought I'll do that on the computer and save myself the headache of trying to just put little eyes in. And yeah, almost done. And the trick with being almost done is not to think that you're almost done, because you're probably not. And if you start thinking you're almost done, you're probably going to rush it and make a few mistakes. So I was very conscious that this was just another step on the way to producing this cover, and trying to hide my signature in there. I ended up moving that, I think I moved it up slightly because it was in the way. And yeah, just putting in that last bit of cliff to kind of show that we're kind of looking at this on like an isometric map kind of plane, tie it in with the back cover. And yeah, I think we're almost there. It's just getting that last bit of big fat smelly pen work in, and we are almost good. Yeah, a couple of little touch-ups here and there, but on the whole, I think I'm pretty happy with this at this point. And there we go. That was my drawing. Scanned it into the computer. This is what it looked like before I started fixing it. So I could see there were a few things that needed doing. Primarily, well, we'll look into it into a bit more detail. I think primarily it was the wings and just tidying up some of the shadows. I think that was the main thing, and clearing up some of those lights below. So you can see this is the cleaned up version. I did add a texture to the wings, and at this point, I still hadn't got rid of all the lights, but you can kind of see what I'm on about. I've added eyes to the massive goblins. But yeah, so far, pretty happy. It was going fine. And then we move on to our 3 tones of greys, where the image really comes alive for me. And this is where I feel fairly confident. I know things are going to work or they're not, or if things need to drastically change, but thankfully everything kind of worked you know, my tree kind of work, the dark stand out. I've got those lights. I can kind of see the composition more clearly. Everything's going well. And I put my base colours on, so I wanted the back to be quite red and the front to be very purpley. Kind of worked. Obviously there are no effects on this, so these are just kind of the baseline colours. So this gives me the general feel for the image before I add any glowing effects or anything like that. And yeah, I believe this cover will be available in February, so look out for that. But this is the effect, so I've added the portal, kind of made sure whites kind of really stand out. The eyes, the glowy things, which I've got rid of a few of them. Little bits of slobber on the lion centipede thing. And this is what it looks like as a cover, which Oni have mocked up. And I have to say it was an absolute pleasure working on this. Something I can tick off the bucket list. Anyway, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Bess and Oni for the opportunity to do this. Absolute dream come true. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Big thanks to the patrons as well. And as always, folks, I will see you on the next one. Take it easy. Bye now.